Today, I'm going to be talking about adjusting to new hearing aids specifically for children. Hi there, my name is Emily. I have a moderate to severe hearing loss in both ears. This hearing loss is genetic. Did you know that 95% of children born with a congenital or genetic hearing loss are born to parents with no indication of hearing loss themselves? Yeah, exactly. That was my situation. Hearing devices are critical for children with hearing losses. This is because the brain requires sound to be able to stimulate its auditory and lingual parts of the brain. As sound reaches the brain develops and matches speech with objects and thus enables the child to communicate. Children's brains are, quote, supercomputers, as labeled by Dr. Dana Susskind in her book, 30 million words. Now, as I'm making this video, I'm assuming that you have been to a pediatric audiologist. I'm assuming that your child has been scheduled for hearing aids. So this video is specifically for parents who have children with hearing losses that are going to be fit for their first pair of aids. I'm going to share a couple things to keep your eye out for and things that will help your child adjust to their hearing aids. I hope you stick around to the end of this video because if you do, I'm going to share some tips, tricks, tools to keep your child's hearing aids in their ears. I know this is a constant battle. I've heard about it from parents. I've heard about it from my own mom, that she would always worry about having these expensive devices in my baby ears, and she was always afraid that if she turned her back, I would like rip them out, suck on them, throw them away, do something. But I know that these little tips and tricks will help. All right, here we go. So when you hear that your child's going to be getting hearing aids, this is an exciting thing. You will probably have lots of concerns and things that you'll think about. You'll wonder, will my child be able to hear and communicate and, be successful in life? Will they find someone that loves them? Will people make fun of them for having a hearing device? You know what? These are all totally valid concerns. From a child's perspective who has gone through this, I have found a man to marry. I have never been embarrassed with my hearing aids in my ears because it's all I've ever known. Yes, I get people that ask me about them. I get people that look at them and they, I can tell they think they're funny, but I love that they help me hear. It's just the scale of I could not wear hearing aids, but what is caring about what someone thinks about me compared to being able to hear? For me, I don't really care about what people think. And so I love my hearing aids. You have those concerns as a parent, but don't let those concerns drip onto your child. What I mean is express full, enthusiastic excitement about your child's hearing aids because the way that you perceive them will rub off on the way that your child perceives them. I will add a caveat, some children just hate hearing aids, but you know what? Give them the option and they can decide down the line. All right, so when you go in to get your first set of hearing aids for your child, you are going to want to pay attention to ear mold fit. Does your child have custom-made ear molds or domes? I highly recommend custom-made ear molds. I've had these all my life. I feel like they fit better in my ear. They keep my hearing aid in. They're great with hearing aid retention. Once those ear molds or domes are fit onto the aid, pay attention to your child's ear. Do you see any signs of red spots or signs of discomfort? If you see any red spots that were not there previously, this could be a sign that the mold or the dome is rubbing on your child's ear and it could be uncomfortable, causing your child to rip the hearing aids out. Another thing is, if you notice that your child takes them out often and itches their ear, this could be a sign that the domes or the ear molds are dirty. In my experience, ear molds are easier to clean with soap and water than domes are. I recommend cleaning ear molds for babies about anywhere from 1 to 4 times a month. It depends on what your audiologist recommends. If you want, you can get a hearing aid dry aid kit and put those in at night to sterilize your child's hearing aids. This will reduce any itchiness you see them experience from wearing the hearing aids. Another thing to pay attention to is feedback. Do you notice that your child's hearing aid whines or screeches frequently? Feedback should not be normal. There are some times where it will act up, and this can be due to a bad seal between the ear mold and the ear. If your child has an air vent in their ear mold, this could be causing the feedback, but excessive feedback is not normal. This can be an indicator that the seal between the ear mold and the ear is not tight. To fix this, either a new ear mold needs to be made or the vent needs to be plugged. Visit your pediatric audiologist to solve the problem if your child is experiencing excessive hearing aid feedback. If you have any questions about feedback, about what's normal, what's not, go ahead and ask me in the comments below, because feedback is so annoying for not just the hearing aid wearer, but everyone else around them. So you want to make sure that your child's hearing aid is not conducive to excessive hearing aid feedback. Next, you want to set up a hearing aid wear schedule for your child. What I mean by this is think about sleep training. Some Some parents like to train their child to sleep at specific times a day, so they hold to a schedule. For example, a mom may put her child down at 7 a.m. and the child may wake up at 8 a.m. and then the child may have a couple naps throughout the day. So the same with hearing aids. For me, my hearing aid wear schedule is currently from when I wake up to when I go to bed. I wear my hearing aids all throughout the day, unless I'm experiencing something like, for example, mowing the lawn. Then I'll take my hearing aids out, put some earplugs in, and mow the lawn. Now, your child's not going to be mowing the lawn, but my point is keep the hearing aids in as much as you can during the day. Some people worry like, oh my goodness, I just feel bad for my child having those hearing aids in all day, every day. You have to remember that your child does not hear as well as you do. And any other normal hearing child is getting that same sound all day, every day, and through the night that your child would not be getting if they do not wear their hearing aids. I hope that makes sense. Some people say, oh, I just feel so bad for my child, so I only put the hearing aids in for 3 hours a day. That is so bad for your child's brain. That means that your child, imagine just an exponential scale of between a hearing child and them, how much sound exposure they are getting. If you only put it in 3 hours a day, that hearing child is going to be way farther ahead in terms of sound introduction than your child will be. It is critical that your child wear hearing aids as often, all day, every day as possible. Some people wear their hearing aids through the night. I would not recommend that for a child, but talk to your pediatric audiologist. They will give you the all-and-all recommendation. I personally think hearing aids are uncomfortable to sleep in. Between the feedback against the pillow and just having them in my ear, it's uncomfortable. So definitely set up a regular wear schedule for your child, because the more they wear them, the more they will get used to them and the less they will pull them out because they realize what helpful devices they are. Also, if you just kind of pick and choose when your child wears the hearing aids, then when they're older, you will find that they won't wear them as consistently and they will be missing out on social communication opportunities. Okay, the next one is batteries. Be aware of your child's hearing aid batteries. Now, Phonak has a child model called the Phonak Sky, and there's a little light on the hearing aid that indicates whether the battery is working, whether it needs to be replaced, or whether there are various settings on the hearing aid that have been activated. For instance, a volume increase or connected to Bluetooth, for example, TV listening options. So you'll want to pay attention to what kind of hearing aid your child has and familiarize yourself with those light indicators. Next is safety. When your child is wearing a hearing aid, when they're not used to it, they may take it out a lot. Now, babies love to put things in their mouths, and the last thing you want in their mouth is a little electronic that's easy to swallow. Not to mention that, the batteries too. So always make sure that when you dispose of batteries, you put them in a safe place away from the baby, and also that their hearing aids stay away from their mouths. I hope this helps. Safety is definitely the #1 issue for a baby. All right, there you have it. There are those 5 main points of how to help your child adjust to new hearing aids. As I said at the beginning of this video, I just want to share a couple tips and tricks to help your child keep their hearing aids in. The first thing is a tone hook. So a tone hook on a hearing aid is located right here on mine. It's this little piece that goes around the ear. So the mechanical part of the hearing aid is this back part, and this is the tone hook. So this tone hook, because it loops down around the ear, and especially on a cochlear implant or like a Baha, it helps it stay in my ear, as you can see. Sometimes the tone hooks just aren't enough though. In these instances, you can get a hat that goes over the ears. Now, one thing that you'll want to pay attention to this is a hat can sometimes create more feedback. So you definitely want to pay attention to that. If you do get an over the ear hat that ties or buttons under your child's chin, just make sure they're not experiencing a lot of feedback. But a hat is a great option, and it is something that my mom used on me for, I want to say, just months and probably years. Next, there are lots of aid loops and clips that people get. Some people have headbands that loop onto their hearing aids or their hearing device. There is a brand name called Huggy Aids, and what this is it's a little silicone ring that you put around your child's ear, and that has little loops that you put on the hearing device. So this little silicone loop helps the hearing aid stay on your child's ear. Now, as always with all of these hearing aids and hearing devices, be sure to check that your child is not experiencing any sore or red spots. Those spots over time can become really tender and can cause your child to fidget more with their hearing aids. The next and last recommendation that I have heard, I have not personally tried this, but it includes tape or adhesives. You can use skin-safe adhesive to simply put it on the back of the hearing aid and attach it to the back of the head. Now, I will say with adhesives, be careful with your baby's hair, be careful, make sure that it's safe for the hearing aid and the skin. I've heard some rumors that some of these work, so there's another idea. The more that your child wears the hearing aids, the more that they will get used to them and the more their brain will develop and they will become familiar with language. This is good for them. Hearing aids are wonderful. I hope I've answered your questions. If you have any more questions for me, please leave them in the comments below. I am happy to share what I know. And I just want to say, you as a parent are doing a great job. You're gonna have doubts at times. You're gonna wonder if what you're doing is enough. You're gonna have concerns about your child. You're going to hope that they are successful. You have dreams for them. Good job. Great. You are doing wonderfully. You are an incredible parent and your child is so lucky to have you. I'm so glad you joined me for this video today. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I want to share more great, wonderful, and encouraging content for you because I understand that what you're doing is not easy, but I can promise you it will be worth it. Have a great day.